welcome to the lesson today on melodic turnarounds. This should be a fun one. A lot of times, when we do turnarounds, which are usually the last two measures of a section, in some cases, a turnaround could be a progression such as like rhythm changes. I got rhythm is sort of like one continuous turnaround, A lot of times, the basic turnaround is 1, 6, 2, 5, could be 1, 6, 4, 5, or it could be other variations. It could be like 1, flat 3, flat 6, flat 2, the Tadd Dameron turnaround. So I've used mainly the 1, 6, 2, 5 or 3, 6, 2, 5, or the Tadd Dameron turnaround. 1, we're doing this in the key of C. It could be C major 7, E flat major 7, A flat, maybe major 7, and then D flat could be dominant, D flat 9 sharp 11, or it could be all major 7s. There I moved a inner voice in the chords. So let's dig into the class. This should be a fun one, as I said. There's sort of a line of thought here, which is instead of just being purely rhythmic, it may be treating the turnarounds like, which is really nice. But there's also, obviously there's going to have to be some voice leading. So I thought with this class, let's make the voice leading really interesting. And let's actually kind of orchestrate and grab some chromatic melodies, perhaps, some intervallic melodies, and so forth. So the very first example is a chromatic line. It's a descending chromatic line. Duke Ellington used this a lot in his compositions. Many other composers did as well. So if we were to take one approach to this, we could just do bass and melody. So I don't have any actual chord voicings written out here, and that was on purpose because I want you to add your own voicings. Okay, now that could even just be counterpoint. So maybe we'll start with just bass and melody. So example 1, with bass and melody, we could go. Now, notice I put the bass notes on the beat, kind of like in Brazilian music, where the bass notes are on the beat, and a lot of times the melody is syncopated on the offbeats. And that's what I did there. So again, it was. Then I hit the bass A. So. We're leaving the bass to the bass player should there be a bass player. So that's kind of a nice way to think about it. And that could be something like this. So I'm adding the chords below that melody. Okay, now we could do that concerted. So I could go and consort it all at the same time. So I can do things like, well, with the bass and melody, in this case, I'm going to do the bass note anticipations with the melody. That was the bass and the melody happening at the same time on those offbeats for the most part. Okay, now with the chords, the sort of 2-note or 3-note chords, we could go like now that's concerted also. So those anticipations were being caught in the lower part, along with the soprano, the upper part. Then I guess the third texture that I will often use is to play the full chord with the bass note, and that could be with the bass on the beat, on 1, 3 of each measure, sort of like this. So you can go. Slightly larger chords there now because I'm putting the bass note in there. Okay, now I am using some 7th string. Here's some 6th string bass. Okay, so it's really no different. If you see me playing a note on the 7th string, you can just jump it over a string to play it on the 5th, you know. Of course, there's going to be some 7th string players, and you know, I know a few 8th string players too. Anyways, so that's example 1 with that chromatic line, you know. So the turnaround is a totally negotiable part of the tune, where you can sort of do what you want. Of course, you have to be listening to the soloist as much as possible. Sometimes the soloist doesn't really do much on the turnaround. They may take a breath, sort of regroup, and use that space, the concept of space. So then your job is to fill it up. You know, you don't have to fill it up. You could still just be rhythmic. You could do things on one note. You could go like that, which is you know, a great concept.